Hello everyone. Today we will try to analyze game of the famous Garry Kasparov, who played with black pieces with Velimirovic, Dragoliub. It's difficult to pronounce that name actually. And let's see how the game went. So white started with e4, c6, the Caro-Kann defense, black played d4, and then d5, that's the standard response, e5, bishop f5, knight c3, which is not the most common move here in this position. Most people play here knight f3, and knight c3 is the, I would say, second move probably, or third move. There's actually, of course, another move, it's h4, and other moves also, some bishop e3. However, this move is quite good also, we can play it without problems. And now Kasparov plays move queen b6. This move has a purpose of playing c5 the next few moves and stop the bishop from going somewhere because it hits here. And it is the second move, second popular move in the position. And now white has a choice to play knight f3, bishop d3, or g4. All moves are okay. White chose g4, and this bishop has some squares to go. For example, he can go to maybe g6, but then after bishop g6 there is a possibility of playing e6 or h4, for example h6 and maybe e6. And for example, this type of position might be sometimes not great for black, and well, sometimes you need to also consider putting the knight on f4 with white, and or playing h5 followed by e6. There are lots of options, and this is clearly worse from these two moves. It's better to play bishop d7, and that was played in the game, so we promoted move. And now Kasparov played the move knight a4. What is the purpose of this move? Obviously this queen is quite active here and disturbs our development, so we need to push it back here a bit. And now we have this opportunity to change this bishop for the knight, and we will use that. So e6, knight e7, knight e7, f4. So white realized his plan. He's trying to use the fact that he has two bishops, and if everything goes well, then white will have some kind of advantage after the opening. But not everything is that clear. Kasparov, playing black, found a good move here, c5, to try to move the knight to c6 and put pressure on the white center. c3, so we are defending everything, knight e7, knight f3, and h5. The purpose of the move h5 is to get this f5 square for the knight, and if everything goes well, the knight will come to f5, and it will be hard for white to finish his development because there will be threat of cd, cd, and then bishop b4 maybe, and also pieces of white are undeveloped at all. I mean, you have to really think how to develop these pieces. So after h5, white has a choice. It's not so easy to find a good move here. One of the ways to meet this will be g5, but then knight f5, and white has some pluses, but also his position is not that great. For example, bishop d3 we can play, and for example maybe cd, maybe bishop b4, and then white's position is slightly better after that sequence of moves. However, black can maybe try to upgrade their knight f5 followed by cd, and maybe they can play something better. For example, there's option to play cd, and g6. The point is that after g6 we can put our bishop on g7, then maybe castle, and our king will be really safe. However, white king also will be safe, but okay, black's king will be more safe. But there are also other moves. For example, bishop h3, defending this pawn, and after that move, position is a little bit unclear, I would say. For example, we can take and play g6. However, then white can try to execute plan of playing h4, h5, and black can castle long probably. And I will prefer maybe black here, but it's not that clear. For example, bishop e3, and maybe even black can play knight to b6, trying to get some space here. Okay, but in the game, white decided that they do not like other options and went for f5. This move is not a great move, but we need to understand why. It forces some tactical jungle, I would say. So after hg, fe, and taking on, well, we can take on e6, but we can also take on f3. And which option is better? Well, it's hard to say, because for example after fe, white has this knight g5 move, and after gf, which was played in a game by Kasparov, we take, and queen f3, and still the position remains quite difficult to assess. However, black's plan is easier, and his position is, I think, much easier to play, but okay, objectively it's not that easy to assess. So now black played cd, and knight to c6, putting some pressure on this pawn, and after bishop e3, which was forced almost, bishop b4. And now I would say that there's only a move king f2 or e2 eventually, and white is in a slight trouble, I would say. His king is in the center. Black can castle if he wants to. However, I don't know why, but Kasparov decided to play rook h4. I would prefer to castle. However, well, Kasparov is a Kasparov. So after rook h4, rook d1, this rook is slightly misplaced here. But maybe after some time black can use that fact. So after rook c8, it seems like white can try something more, and they would love to play rook g1, but the pawn is hanging. That's why it's better to start with h3, then play rook g1 and put some pressure here. But white decided to play rook g1. It's also not that bad, because after rook h2 we can play rook g2, rook g2, queen g2, or king g2, as was played in the game. And still white can develop his pieces quite naturally and use this open h file for his advantage. And now black's attack is gone. This rook on h4 is gone. Bishop on b4 does nothing at all. And we need to think about some plan with black. So there is one idea here that was played in the game, but there are also many more ideas. For example, white can try to regroup his knight, maybe, or bishop somewhere, because white's plan is quite simple: play bishop d3, rook h1, rook h8, or queen g3, and then attack here. So we need to move our king to the safety, but it's not recommended to do it right now, because it will be, I think, too early. So move knight d8 has two purposes. First, it attacks the c2 square, and then regroups this knight to e6, where it will protect its g7 square and maybe go back or support this bishop on b4 actually. So natural move is bishop d3, knight e6, and white played rook f1. You might ask, why rook f1? Why not rook h1, for example? Well, rook h1 is also possible, but you know, black will play bishop f8, and everything looks protected right now. It's not that simple to break through here with white. So that's why white played rook f1. Black played some a6, but it's like move to play fast if you have time travel or something. White obviously starts attacking, queen h5, and now there is a threat of rook f7, so we play g6, and now queen h8, knight f8, and there is a little bit of a threat with queen g4, so we need to play king g3, lose one tempo, but still the position is easier to play with white. And now we need to regroup our pieces with black again. And what we can do, queen has no good squares, maybe on a4, but it won't do much despite attacking this pawn, which we can play forward, push forward, and this bishop does nothing, and that's why black played bishop e7, slightly protecting here. And this move allowed a little bit of a sacrifice here, I would say, which was quite good. Can you see it? The move is bishop g6, after fg, bishop h6, and we win this knight. And black is forced to go away. And then the game continues. However, white has better chances. However, white did not play that, and instead went for a little bit worse move, which is queen g8, attacking here. Obviously, black plays queen e6, queen h8 back, so white is kind of stuck here, doing nothing, and black can play really interesting move f5, because we can't take en passant, because queen e3. And now the position is not great, because, you know, black stopped all the attack, and his queen is extremely misplaced here, and bishop on d3 does nothing because he is restricted, and this bishop on e3 can go to h6 only, but this is protected again. So life has gone into bad direction. So white needs to regroup again. Queen f3, queen f7, trying to play knight to e6, queen h1, knight e6, and now the pawn on d5 is hanging. So I decided why not to take that. Queen d5, rook d8, and there is no possibility to safely regroup here. White decided to play queen h1, but better move would be to play queen c4, and after knight d4 we can try to hold this game, but well, for example, queen f7, king f7, rook h1, king e6. Position for black is better, but white can hope to defend it. After queen h1, black obviously takes the pawn and has no plan at all, which is really bad. You need to have plan, and tries to just do some check and attack some pieces, but it does not help at all. Losing your pawn, and white is completely lost. Black consolidates, has more pawns, all pieces are protected. White's king is extremely unsafe. And after queen h4, bishop d6, king f2, knight g5, queen g5, queen h7, black resigns. White resigns, obviously, because, well, position is really not that simple to play. We have to deal with all kinds of threats here. Our king is extremely unsafe. We are 2 pawns down. So what happened that something went wrong? I think correct decision was here. Here was extremely important to play bishop g6 and followed by bishop h6, and then the game will continue. But I suppose that white didn't have a lot of time for that, so he chose some weird continuation, queen g8, queen h8, which failed to succeed. From the opening perspective, white's play was okay, however they did not get any advantage, and move g5 was probably better than f5, which was played in the game, or some other move here, like bishop h3 maybe, but f5 does not seem to be the best option here. It gave black really free hand, as they say. Thanks for watching this game. See you.